Well, I've got a feeling this will, probably end well for my friends up north. Those, friendly folks known as Canadians. Eh? Eh? Jean-Claude and Sarah and them, they say that a lot, eh? And they tease us down south. Y'all? Y'all? Y'all want to? Hey, y'all. That's funny. Wolf Street. Wolfstreet.com. Foreign buyers made me do it. Canada reflects back on its housing bubble. A massive survey of recent home buyers reveals all. By Stefan Punwasi, Better Dwelling. Have you ever woken up after a night of drinking and have only had a kind of a vague recollection of what happened? Then your responsible friend sets off a chain of text messages trying to figure out where you went wrong. Well, that's what the Canadian real estate industry just did. And man, oh man, did people screw up. The Canadian, or what is called the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, CMHC, the Crown Corporation in charge of mortgage liquidity, conducted a massive survey of recent buyers in Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal. After getting drunk on exuberance, buyers indulged in a little too much borrowing, if you will, blaming everything from land scarcity to foreign buyers for the bidding wars they entered. Which, in all fairness, I mean, China was really rolling over there, bidding up everything. And then in a couple select areas, to be fair. About the survey, the CMHC designed a massive survey to try and figure out where buyer exuberance started. Buyers in Toronto and Vancouver saw a quick rise in home prices and adopted excessive expectations of price growth. To determine where the disconnect between fundamentals and price growth started, they took a novel approach. They asked the buyers. 30,000 recent buyers were sent surveys asking questions ranging from what their budgets were to why they didn't stick to their budget. The majority of price movements were driven by exuberance in Toronto and Vancouver. Speaking of the two places, yes, fundamentals played a part, but a small part. Instead, the survey focuses on finding out which data points buyers felt drove the FOMO. FOMO being fear of missing out. The fear of being locked out is always a powerful motivator, which tends to amplify the read on fundamentals. Now, issues like foreign buyers are important, and they need to be tracked and dealt with. However, no one forced anyone to buy in the small window of exuberance. The homeowner life didn't choose these buyers. Buyers chose the homeowner life. Despite what you may have heard, not all renters are poor and struggling to eat. Actually, a surprising number of bank executives are now renters, but I digress. Can I put my little spin on that? Many bank executives are renters, huh? I wonder if they see something coming that the average person doesn't. Fire sale in the housing market. I don't want to own anything. I want to go buy some real estate up super, super cheap when the next bubble collapses, which is in the process, and the prices fall off a cliff. That's my take on that statement. But I digress. He says, let's find out what these people were thinking. Oh, I got to yawn. It's too early to be yawning. But I got to yawn. 55% of Toronto and Vancouver real estate buyers entered a bidding war. First up, the CMHC found that buyers use rule of thumb mechanisms to determine home prices. Quote, here's a few quotes. It's a hot market. I can't miss out. And it's really tight right now are phrases analysts cited as examples of this mechanism. But, hey, any kind of market, cryptos, stock market, Forex, anything. Not really Forex, but pretty much the other markets. Feeding frenzy. I gotta get in. FOMO, man. If you're missing out, I gotta get in. It's a hot market. And then it sells off, and then everyone's like, oh, why did I do that? But again, the patient and smart investor says, well, even if you got caught with your pants down, so to speak, all I gotta do is wait till the next bull run. And now I know what to see. And there'll be a whole bunch of new blood coming in next time, and I'll be one of the smart ones who isn't scared to take some freaking profit next time and then ride that wave. Anyways, Just gotta be fair here. It's not just real estate market. It's not the stock market. It's not just cryptos. It's any market has that problem. It's a hot market. I can't miss out, and it's really tight right now. Our phrases analysts cited as examples of this mechanism. According to the CMHC, these were phrases pushing homebuyers to overvalue an investment. FOMO helps to build an overreaction to data, which resulted in a lack of self-control. The best example of this is a buyer's willingness to engage in a bidding war. The majority of buyers entered a bidding war in Toronto and Vancouver. 55% of survey respondents in both cities said they entered a bidding war to buy their current home. To contrast, just 17% of Montreal's buyers experienced a bidding war. And that was, Toronto, Vancouver. Yeah, the majority of buyers entered a bidding war in Toronto and Vancouver, although Montreal had 17%. Okay. The other ones were 55%. The discipline was not strong with these ones. Buyers that accelerated their buy tended to break their budget, according to the CMHC. Vancouver saw 47.91% of buyers pay more than they had planned. Toronto saw similar levels, with 47.79% of buyers paying them more than budgeted. To contrast, Montreal only saw 23.67% of buyers pay more than they budgeted. FOMO was the primary driver of breaching, with most of these homeowners buying sooner or later than expected. CMHC analysts believe that those that bought sooner likely lacked market information, pushing budgets higher. Those that bought later couldn't find what they wanted to for their budget, driving them to an upward budget revision. We have to revise. Honey, there's nothing available. I guess we're going to have to revise our budget higher. And then remember the videos I've done actually pretty recently. Canadians' debt to income ratio is like off the charts. It's one of the highest in the world. I talked to Jean-Claude and Sarah about this. It's true. Anyways, those that bought later couldn't find what they wanted in their budget, driving them to an upward budget revision. Canadian real estate buyer budgets. It says Toronto, Vancouver. Well, that's just a chart. I'll just read it to you. The next section. The foreign buyers made me do it. If Canadian real estate markets had a phrase of the year, foreign buyer would have been it in 2017. In Vancouver, 67.8% of buyers said foreign buyers had a lot of influence on home prices. Toronto was a little further behind, but not much at 47.88%. To contrast, 42.3% of Montreal buyers felt foreign buyers had a strong influence. Foreign buying is actually a part of the development strategy in cities like Vancouver, but they always tend to show up in droves when local credit expands, just like in the late 1980s. Funny how that works. Perceived impact of foreign buyers on prices. CMHC survey responses from recent buyers on the perceived impact of foreign buyers on real estate prices. And give you a long story short, the chart shows none, a little bit, some, or a lot. And a lot is the one that's winning that chart, okay? Who needs a job when you've got credit? Employment growth is normally an important fundamental factor, but buyers didn't agree. In Vancouver, only 17% of buyers felt it had a lot of influence. Toronto buyers felt it was a little more important, with 26% of people thinking it had a lot of influence. And to contrast, 35% of Montreal buyers felt it had a lot of influence on home prices. The bulk of respondents in all cities felt it had some influence on prices. Perceived impact of employment growth on prices. The survey responses from recent buyers on the perceived impact of employment growth on real estate prices. Right, so employment growth on prices. None, little, some, a lot. Well, some and a lot take the cake. There's too many people. Next section. None of these locations are growing like they used to, but population growth was still a perceived factor. Toronto had 54.56% of respondents claim population growth had a lot of influence on prices. Vancouver came in just under that, with 51.39% of buyers feeling the same way. Montreal only had 38.94% of buyers that felt population growth had a lot of influence on prices. For context, Montreal has the fastest growing population of all three regions. And then the other one, we're running out of land. My favorite narrative, we're running out of land, aka land scarcity. Vancouver had the most buyers that felt land scarcity had a lot of influence. 52.94% of buyers agreeing. In Toronto, that dropped to just 44.22% of buyers. Montreal was just under that at 43%. That they're agreeing that it had a lot of influence. We're running out of land. What? In freaking Canada? What's their population? Perceived impact of land scarcity on prices. The survey responses from recent buyers on that had no, none, no effect, little effect, some effect, or a lot. Once again, some, and then especially a lot, is the king. King of the chart is a lot. People think, a lot of people thought this, this perceived impact of land scarcity or whatever. Those darn rich locals. Well, that's another one, I guess. Locals seem to underestimate the impact of domestic investors in all three regions. Toronto had the highest ratio of people that felt they had strong influence at 48%. In Vancouver, that number was 46, and Montreal 26, or 25.9 technically. Buyers that felt domestic investors were a contributor to prices, right? So everything's affecting the house prices going up. The foreigners, the locals, the rich people, the landscape, like all these reasons. Like, is there not a reason? Like, is there anyone out there that says, look, I don't see any of this as being a reason? It's one of these stupid cycles. That's all. All of these things coming in together. That's the reason. Scarcity of land, was it some kind of large pump and dump from some group? Who knows? Let's get the Chinese story going. Let's get the locals going. Let's get the rich people going. Let's get the land scarcity going. Let's pump it all together at the same time. Cause a feeding frenzy. And then we all sell all of our properties off for massive profits to these imbeciles. That's what the elite do. We're all imbeciles. They're the smart ones. Perceived impact of domestic investors on prices. Again, some and a lot take the cake, with some just outpacing a lot by a tiny bit. These factors did contribute to higher prices, but buyers added emotional premiums. Markets, emotions, there it is, man. During the peak of a real estate cycle, buyers will always become exuberant. Again, this is literally the Wall Street cheat sheet. Take it in any market, it works. This last piece is letting me know, oh yes, real estate, same story. Same thing. But we're not like buying and trading stocks and shares and cryptos. I'm in and out. Oh, there's a wedge. There's a falling wedge. Let me get in there. It's real estate. You're not charting real estate like... Yet the same thing applies. That emotional exuberance, the market's all-time high. Everyone's excited. And then the floor falls out. You all done? All right. So anyways, these factors did contribute to higher prices, but buyers added emotional premiums. During the peak of the real estate cycle, buyers will always become exuberant as prices accelerate. Speculators, both international and domestic, can usually smell the blood and begin circling. Did people line up, and are foreign buyers accumulating massive portfolios of homes? Or were people paid to stand in line for condo assessments with employees posing as mainland Chinese buyers? Well, he's got a link here. Paid to stand in line. Employees posing. What is this? BetterDwelling.com. Vancouver condo developer pays people $1,800 to line up. November 30th, 2016. Last week, a couple of people contacted us to ask why we've never covered the massive lineups for condos. Seemed a little weird at the time, since even China and Russia are talking about how overheated the Vancouver real estate market is. Publicist offers $1,800. That's the same person writing the story, though, but that's their website, saying, look what we wrote back in 2016. And there's another one that's not their site, cbc.ca, Canada. Former MAC marketing manager disciplined over fake Chinese buyers. This is from 2014. And again, oh, well, Joe, but that wasn't when the real run-up happened. It was later. 2015, 16, 17 especially. Again, like anything, you think they stopped? You think the scam stopped? Oh, they've been reprimanded. Okay, thanks. Get out of jail free. Here's your little payday. Thanks. Now I'm back in business. Right back to where I left off. Scamming everybody. Fake Chinese buyers. Fake everything to cause FOMO. Wow. Probably a little of both, he says. However, it often doesn't matter if the narrative is true or not. It just matters if you're willing to max out your credit. As my favorite real estate agent once posted on her Instagram, quote, anything is possible if you believe it is. Now, you can take that two ways. You know, the people who like to fluff, you know, these great messages, you know, be kind to everyone. Smile in the mirror before you go to work. You know, the nonsense. Anything is possible if you believe it is. Oh, that's a wonderful saying. But the other side of it is, no, that's actually a sarcastic saying. Yeah, sure, anything's possible if you believe it is. Yeah, good, okay. Hey, man, I can walk on water. Really? Yeah, anything's possible if you believe in it, buddy. Yeah, take care. So the question is, was it, were they being smart and funny with that saying? Or was that lady actually one of these big hopium smokers? Hopium, I'm hopeful. Hey, every now and then you got to take a little hit of hope-ium. Be a little hopeful. So, anyways, I cover this stuff. When it's there, I need to talk about it. And it looks like the party is over in Canada with that whole thing. That's pretty much collapsed, those prices. And now anybody in there is stuck. Is basically stuck. Like you and I were, at least in America, back in 2008. Oh, I'm married to my house for how many years now? Before the prices go back up again? I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't change anything. I didn't do anything bad. Why is my house being destroyed in value? Oh, the banks. We deregulated for the banks. You know, they lobbied us Congress members. We agreed. The president signed it into law. And the banks lent to people who shouldn't have had money. Shouldn't have gotten lent to. Couldn't qualify if their life depended on it. We changed the rules, so we let them get lent to. Ninja loans. No job, no income. You are approved. That's why we got screwed. So, again, it's just cycles. What the reasoning is, nothing changes under the sun. See, doing these videos and studying things, I get to learn what causes these things. Greedy, effing, rotten people. And there's a problem with that, since nothing changes under the sun. It has always gone on. It's been going on and will continue to go on. You and I just have to recognize the cycles now going forward as we become, some of us adults, like older adults, some in the 20s and the 30 years old, whatever. You get to look at all this stuff and add it up and say, wow, maybe I'll get to see this in my life a few times. And you will. So, yeah, I already have a house here, and prices coming down, fire sale coming. Come on, cryptos, go up, housing go down. Thank you. Meet in the middle. Take care.